What's going on, guys? It's Dollar Jr. once again bringing you a Dark Souls walkthrough. This is going to be the Dark Souls 2, the Scholar of the First Sin edition. Now, if you've never played Dark Souls 2, there are a lot of things you need to be aware of. This game is very different from Dark Souls 1. There are new gameplay mechanics. Some of them I'm not a big fan of, but we'll go through all of them before we even start the walkthrough. So the first mechanic that I'm not a fan of is whenever you die in this game, you lose health. And you will continuously lose health off of your health bar until it halves. So you lose at least 50% of your health. So you'll have to play the game with half a life bar sometimes. And that can be very frustrating and very difficult. Especially for new players who are going to be continuously punished for deaths. And you're going to die in Dark Souls. That's just the way it is. And it's a retarded idea to have to continuously punish the player for dying, which is what you do in Dark Souls, especially as a new player, you're going to die. So there are ways to combat this, and I'm going to show you guys the best way to do it early. Now, the second change that I'm not a fan of is how the weapon durability system works in this game. In Dark Souls 1, your weapons would degrade over time, but it would take a long time before you'd have to repair them. In this game, however, it degrades very fast, especially with the weapon we're going to be using at the beginning. Now, let's talk about the third change I'm definitely not a fan of. This is probably the worst thing that I hate about this game, is you can be invaded whether you're human, whether you're hollow. It doesn't matter. So I play this game offline 100%. I don't play it online. So that's another thing that I really don't like about this game, is you can be invaded no matter what. You're never safe in this game. Some people would say, oh, that's the way I like it, but not for me. I'm not into getting invaded. This game is hard enough to worry about other assholes invading you with overpowered gear, and it's just not worth it. So playing offline is the only way for me. And in fact, the path that I'm taking in this game, you have to be offline for one of the NPCs to spawn anyway. Alright, the last thing I'm not a fan of are the insane amount of heinous hitboxes in this game. This game has probably the worst hitboxes I've ever seen in any video game. I am not kidding. Like, you can be teleported when you're in different spots, and I'll have to show you guys some examples, but holy crap, man, they really screwed up on the hitboxes in this game. Not just getting hit yourself, but when you're trying to attack the enemy, you can swear you were right there and you hit them, and then it just doesn't register as a hit. So that is yet another blemish on this game. But now we'll get to the positives. The positives in this game are many. They don't really outweigh some of the negatives, but I really like how you have the dual wield system in this game. So it's very cool when you can dual wield your fists, because we are going to be using our fists quite a lot in this game, because that's the main build we're going for, is our bare fists. Our bare fists are going to be doing more damage than any heavy weapon, pretty much, when everything's said and done. But it has a nice dual wield system that you can use. I like that they upgraded the crossbows. Now you don't have to use binoculars to try to do some kind of weird off-the-wall aiming thing like we did in Dark Souls 1. Now it actually has a reticule and everything if you two-hand it. I really like that aspect. I like that it's easier to craft weapons. You don't have to upgrade weapons to a certain degree and then go to the blacksmith and upgrade a boss weapon. No, you just need the soul and the souls to buy it, and that's it. So I really like that as well. I also really like the weapons. There's a lot of weapons in this game, a lot of variety of the enemies as well. It's just a really cool game in general. There are some things that really bring it down, though. So enough talking about the game. Let's talk about what we're going to do. So in this walkthrough, I am going to be doing an Indiana Jones build yet again. However, this time I'm going to be a little more flexible with the weapons I use. I am going to be using the Chaos Blade. I am going to be using a whip. I am going to be using my bare fists and a crossbow, multiple crossbows. But I think that's going to be about it. But we are going to have a Chaos Blade in this one, because we're going to work our ass off to get it, because it's very difficult to obtain in this game. Now, before we even begin, we have to talk about what we're going to do here. We're not even going to be invested in our playthrough at the beginning, because it's a slot machine. we have to continuously restart the game until we get the item that we want. So basically, we're going to go through the tutorial as fast as possible, and we're going to trade a specific item with the crows. They're not snuggly this time. It's like a pair of crows, and they like smooth and silky things. So we're going to be getting a petrified something, which is the best item to trade with the crows. We are looking for one item, the old whip. That is our main weapon that we're going to have in the beginning anyway. So we don't know when we're going to get it. It's RNG. So what we do is we keep getting it and over, and we restart until we get the item. But it only takes an average of 2 minutes to get to the crows. So I don't invest much in my character look or whatever. I just, as quickly as I can, get to it. So that's the first thing. Once we have the old whip, then we're fully invested in the playthrough. Now, once we have the old whip, we're not going to play the game the traditional way. Just like in Dark Souls 1 walkthrough that I did, we didn't go the traditional way, and boy, are we not doing it this time. We're going to be going into one of the DLCs right off the bat almost. We're going to be using bonfire aesthetics, which is a new gameplay mechanic where you can go into the New Game Plus equivalent in a certain area. It's kind of confined to a certain bonfire area, but you can reap rewards of it. So if they have a ring in the New Game Plus or a soul, you can use a bonfire aesthetic. Now the problem with that is the game's difficulty will scale to that. So we're going to be playing New Game Plus before we're even ready for it. But the items that we're going to be getting are going to be well worth it. We're going to be getting a covetous silver ring +2, a gold serpent ring +2, and we're going to be getting the soul of the old witch, which will allow us to get the chaos blade, but you can't get that unless you play New Game Plus. So we have to kill a boss multiple times on New Game Plus to get these items. Very difficult to do, as you will see. Right off the bat, we are in Things Betwixt. This is your tutorial area. There is nothing of concern. There's a rusted coin somewhere in this area, but we're not interested in it. Again, we're not invested in this playthrough until we get the old whip from the crows. Of course, I have edited the video to where I actually did get the item. For context, it only took 9 minutes of attempts before I got the whip. Of course, it's going to vary with you. So right off the bat, you're going to be treated to your screen. I just name it Indiana Jones. Again, you may not want to spend too much time in the character creator screen. For the class, we're going to be using the swordsman. And the gift is going to be petrified something. Make sure, well, if you're playing it this way, you're definitely going to need these two to be exactly right. We're not going to bonfire, and we're not doing anything until we get the whip. So in this first fog area here, we're just going to go in. I ignore every enemy unless I have to kill them at the last fog wall before the crows. So you're just going to take a quick left here, stick to the left. Now go right, and there'll be a hill, and there'll be a dagger. This is like showing you where to backstab people in a tutorial area. There's a dagger right there we don't want. Now right here, you might have to fight off a few of these guys because they're assholes and they will hit you while you're trying to go through the fog wall. I still try to get through it sometimes. Now, this is the nest that you want to get to. You will need to drop the petrified something. We have the whip. This is the most powerful whip in the game. Hard to get. It's the only way you can get it, too. You can't get it through any other means. Another reason I like to get it out of the way at the very beginning. So you want to kick down this ladder for easy access to the crows because we're going to trade an item with them again shortly. But now that we have the whip, so we have fully invested in the playthrough, we need to go back to where we came from now. We need to get a ring called the stone ring, and we need to get the small and silky stone so that we can trade it with the crows before we leave this area. Now, unlike Dark Souls 1, all you have to do is light the fire. You don't have to sit at it. So that's really helpful, especially when you're being chased by enemies. Up these stairs is a human effigy. It's your equivalent of a humanity. It's the only way to get your health to go back to normal if it's been halved at some point. Now we have to kill a rather hard enemy early on here to get the ring, but it's not hard if you know the trick, and there's a way to manipulate the AI. So right off the bat, you want to come down here to this waterfall area. Be careful not to fall off, and there's your small and silky stone, which we will trade with the crows, in hopes of getting a Titanite shard. Cross this bridge, and off to the right again is a hidden area, and this is where the footprints are evidence of a bigger thing nearby, so you definitely want to be careful here because this guy can one-shot you. His grab will kill you instantly, and there's nothing you can do about it. The main way to avoid dying by this guy is to get behind his ass, because that's his weakness. If you can get behind his ass, he will constantly trigger a butt stomp, and he will continuously do it. And you can just continuously punish him, but you have to remember to trigger him. In this case, we're just going to run back and forth until, well, sometimes we get screwed over, we can't get behind his ass. But if he tries that grab on you, and he does grab you, and that's one of the worst hitboxes you'll ever see. You could be off to the right or left, and he'll still grab you. And you can see yourself getting teleported. Now, this is the stone ring. This is a good ring early on because it will damage the enemy's poise, which is good because they can be staggered. You can stun lock them effectively. Now, we have done all we can here, except we're going to trade with the crows one more time. And then we're off this tutorial area and into the main hub of the game called Majula. We're only going to pick up a few items in Majula, and then we are off to kill our first boss. And the first boss is rather a joke. We're making him commit suicide, basically, so we don't even have to kill him. And we're going to get a very important ring, probably one of the most important rings in the entire game. And we're going to get it right off the bat because earlier when I talked about the hollowing and how your health bar is affected, well, we're going to negate that immediately. Let's hope we get a Titanite shard. And we did. They'll drop various items depending on what you drop. The petrified something is the best item because it gives you the best items when you drop it for the crows. And we did get the whip, so we're good to go. But they'll also drop like a trident and upgrade materials that are rare as well. Now, unlike the first game, Titanite slabs are not rare in this game. Really, none of the upgrade materials are. This is Majula, your main hub of the game. There's a lot of branching paths and everything you can go to. Now right here there's a little drop-off point, and we're going to drop off here. Really don't need this item, but it's okay. It's the binoculars, basically. We don't need them to shoot the crossbow like we did in the last game, and that's a relief. So I really didn't, I mean, it was nice to have it, but it was a weird way of shooting. Make sure you light the bonfire, and now we're going to go visit all these areas and pick up items that we need. The first area is this house to the left. This is basically your armor merchant for the beginning. He'll sell you boss armors, but we don't need it right now. We're mainly interested in going up here and raiding his chest to get another Titanite shard. We need to get enough Titanite shards to upgrade a crossbow to +3. That is our main goal right now for when we get the Titanite shards. We have a lot of goals, but that's one of them. We have to get ready for our trip into the DLC and all these new game pluses, and we're going to do it as fast as possible, but we need items and we need them fast. So this one right here is an Estus shard. Unlike the first game, you don't start with 5 Estus. You start with 1. 1 Estus. So every shard you get will equal another swig of your Sunny D. Life gems are going to be your main source of healing in this game because they're more abundant. Now up here is the most important covenant in the game that we're going to be interested in, called the Company of Champions. It's basically a harder mode. It allows you no summons. You will take more damage. The enemies will take more hits to kill. And you're probably wondering why. Well, there's a ring we need from that covenant called the Vanquisher Seal, and we're going to do whatever we can to get it because it is vital for this build. vital. 100% the most important ring we're going to get. Now, that's another thing I didn't mention. I don't like the way leveling works in this game. You can't do it at a bonfire. You have to level via the Emerald Herald, this lady here. You have to continuously talk to her. She will upgrade your Estus Flask as well every time you get a shard. And we got that one from the well, so we're going to upgrade to 2 flasks now. Now, let's talk about our stat investment early on. We definitely need a specific amount of stats before we can even attempt to do the path that we're going to attempt. We need our vigor, which is our health, at 9 at least, minimum 9. So we're going to work on that first. We're going to go ahead and level our vigor, which is only at 4. We're going to do it to 5. We have to have it at 9. That's the first stat we have to have. Minimum requirements for vigor is at 9. We need our strength to be 13. And our dexterity needs to be 20. We have to have these stats. So we are going to have to get souls in order to get these stats up before we can go into our main path. So the easiest way to get souls quickly is to kill bosses. So we're going to go kill one of the easiest bosses in the video game history. He will net us 12,000 souls right off the bat. So in addition, by going into this area, we're going to get the Ring of Binding. The most important ring in Dark Souls, if you're a new player, no doubt, because it slows the hollowing process, and it doesn't take nearly as much health off your health bar. I think you're still able to get 75% of your health at maximum. So no matter if you've maximized your hollowing, instead of losing 50% health, you'll have 75% of your health. So that's a huge difference. From having half a health bar, you'll have 75% of it. So, yeah, that's a lot better. Definitely want to get this ring. These enemies in this area, in the Hyde's Tower of Flame, they're slow, but they will track you after a while. They'll follow you down. And we're going to get killed eventually here, but we're doing a suicide run coming up. We're going to do a suicide run to get the Ring of Binding. So it's not a very hard ring to get, especially if you're going to do a suicide run. But like I said, it's extremely valuable to get. These guys are a pain in the ass, these mace-wielding guys. And these swords guys, they have a very specific pattern. They're very easy to recognize. It's just not worth fighting them right now because our weapon is not strong enough. We're not really supposed to be in this area. We're underpowered for this area right now. Except for the boss, because he's just going to kill himself, so we're good. Off to the right, here is the ring. It's being guarded, however, by Hyde Knight. These guys will not become hostile until you kill the boss. So, or you hit him. So I like to come up these stairs and lure him away from the chest. And just because it takes so damn long to open a chest in this game. Watch this. 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, 4 1,000. It's like 5 seconds to open a chest. It's ridiculous. And now I'm pretty much screwed. Nothing I can do here. But I have the ring, so win for me. We're going to equip it immediately to slow the hollowing process here. Now we're just going to go back to where we came and go through the fog wall this time. Now we have to do a very specific thing to get this guy to commit suicide. The Dragon Rider is the name of the boss. You'll see him multiple times through the game, but this is your first encounter. He's got a halberd and a shield, and he's very slow and telegraphed. You could probably kill him with the gear you have, but we're going to do it the easy way and the fast way. We're trying to get the Vanquisher seal as fast as possible. So, fighting an enemy that we know we can kill right off the bat. Not necessary. When you go through the fog wall, stay still completely. Do not move an inch. Wait until he gets to the inner circle and then run forward, and that's it. Done. 12,000 free souls. Thank you very much. As long as you wait until his foot gets into that inner circle and you just run forward, he will kill himself. Now make sure you hit this bonfire here and make sure you talk to this NPC and exhaust all of her dialogue. All of it. You want her to relocate to Majula. So she won't do that unless you exhaust her dialogue 100%. She will sell you miracles and stuff, but since we're not doing a miracle build, we don't need any of her stuff. We do need her to relocate, however. She's going to open up a path for us later. Now, before we go back to Majula, we need to get an item called, actually I'm not even sure what it's called, a Sublime Bone Dust, I think it's called. What this does, it's the equivalent of a Firekeeper Soul from the first game. It will strengthen your Estus Flask's potency. And also we're going to try to get a human effigy here. Now this guy will follow us. Don't get greedy and try to get another item here to the right. We don't need the halberd, I think it's called. But just go back quickly. Now we're going to go downstairs and get the Sublime Bone Dust. Now if you want to see a guy that is 100% dedicated to his spot, this knight up here is 100% dedicated. Like, he will not move from this spot. Like, he'll see you go past him and he's like, yep, I'm not moving from this spot. This is my spot. This is my zone. I am guarding this piece of area right here, and I am not moving. Now, I don't want to chance going back upstairs because that big knight dude is going to be waiting for us, so let's just bone out and go back to Majula. Well, it's going to take us back to the last bonfire, but we'll go back to Majula here. I thought about killing a dragon here, but I don't think I was strong enough, and I didn't really want to chance it, so it would have been nice to have a few extra materials, but we don't need it. We're going on to kill our next boss. Now, let's spend those juicy souls we just got from the Dragon Rider, but first we're going to use the Sublime Bone Dust to strengthen our Estus Flask. Anytime you get one of these, make sure you go back to you can only do it at Majula for some reason. It's another stupid thing about this game. Now, we want to get the stats to a specific, like I said before. Vigor to 9. Exactly. Then we want Strength to 13. And we want Dex at 20. But we want Dex first, because that's going to be allowing us to use the old whip. We can't use the old whip yet until we get the Dex to 20. So we're going to get Dex to 20. Strength is only 2 off from where we need it to be. So we got it at 11. The reason we needed 13 strength is because we can't use the crossbow until we get it to 13. So we're a little short here, but we do have ability to use the whip now. Now we're going to go to the Forest of Fallen Giants and go to the last giant is going to be our next boss that we kill. Now let's go ahead and play with the whip a little bit. Now the whip is great. Don't get me wrong. It's a great whip. It degrades faster than anything in Breath of the Wild, basically. And you know how Breath of the Wild is. If you played Zelda Breath of the Wild, you know how the weapon degradation is in that game. Yeah, this whip can do the same thing to you. It's very sad at the beginning. Now later on, when you get a ring, you can take it off by 50%, but it still degrades very fast. Luckily, we're only using it in dire situations. We're going to supplement our whip with a variety of other weaponry. We're going to have another whip, just a basic plain whip. We're going to have a thorned whip as a backup as well, and we're going to get the Chaos Blade, and that should do it. We also need a falchion later. Before we get the Chaos Blade, we're going to use the falchion temporarily. Make sure you go down here. Be very careful you don't fall off. Get another human effigy. These things are very rare for early on. You definitely want them. Don't use them very often unless you desperately need to kill a boss or something. I usually only use it for killing bosses. Like, I want to have full health. There's another homeward bone here. Now you can kill this giant if you want to, or this ogre. Not necessary. He's a good way to farm early on. He gives you 1,000 souls. And he has a chance of dropping Titanite shards and Allstones if you're in the Company of Champions Covenant, which we will be eventually. But we're not farming him right now. You want to make sure you go ahead and sit at this bonfire. This is the first bonfire in this area. Crestfallen Retreat. Now, there's something very important we have to talk about. This game will despawn enemies. It's not like Dark Souls 1. This is another thing I don't like about Dark Souls 2. There's one way to avoid it. You have to be in the company of champions, which makes the game harder. But the enemies will infinitely respawn. They don't infinitely respawn if you're not in the champion covenant. So you could technically run the place dry, and I don't like that. I think it happens after 12 times. So we're not going to kill enemies unless we absolutely have to, because we want to be able to farm for anything we want to in the future if the mood strikes us. But if we killed everybody, we'd have to use a bonfire aesthetic to respawn everybody, but then that pushes it to New Game Plus. So it's kind of complicated. You got to be careful. Just killing enemies in this game is a bad thing, or it can be a bad thing. We can funnel all these enemies in here, as they will rise up from playing possum. And don't fall for it. Now, as we're on our way to our next bonfire, there's something that Dark Souls 2 loves to do to you, and that's ambush you all the time. As you can see, right there, just multiple enemies just lying in wait, and the game loves to do this. The game has a lot of more enemies than Dark Souls 1. So if you thought that Dark Souls 1 was lacking on the enemy quantity department, then you are covered in this game. Now, luckily for us, the build that we're using, the old whip, is very powerful for killing hollows. So if you get a group of hollows, you can take them all out in like 1 or 2 hits. You get them all lined up. But here, we're not really interested in fighting all these assholes, so we're going to move on to the bonfire. Now, yet again, they just continuously attack, even while you're climbing the ladder. Now, right here, you're never safe, so as you're opening up this door, rotate the camera to see behind you, because, yep, as you can see, right on cue, our buddy, ready to ambush us. Now, our main goal in this area is to get the crossbow and talk to an NPC and get him to exhaust his dialogue so that he can become a summon sign. And we're going to open up the area to the boss. Now, before we do all that, though, let's meet our merchant here, Militia. She's one of the most important, if not the most important merchant in the game, because after you kill the last giant, which is our next boss that we're going to kill, she will sell you infinite life gems. Infinite. And that's huge, because they only cost 300 souls a pop. And considering that you only have a few Estus to start the game with, you're going to be relying on life gems for the majority of this game. But we are going to be gathering up Estus shards as much as possible as we journey through the game. But it maxes out at 12. You only get a maximum of 12. Now down here, we're just going to come down here and get a human effigy and a torch. We need to start getting torches because pretty soon we're going to be going into a very dark area, and a torch is going to be pretty much required, in my opinion. And the way the torches work in this game, the more you get, the more time you get to use a torch. So it's weird. So the more torches you get, the more time you get. But trust me, you'll have more than enough time, because they go up pretty quick. It's very, very generous with the time. So you don't have to really worry about that. But do start collecting them. Now, we will be coming back to this area later in order to collect 2 very important items. Some Twinkling Titanite and a Fragrant Branch of Yore. Fragrant Branches of Yore are like an item that you need in order to get through blocked areas. It's a way of getting off the player's progression, but there are easy ways to get some of them, and we're going to get one right off the bat that we're really not supposed to have access to. And the Twinkling Titanite, we need 15 of them to upgrade our old whip to the maximum. So to get a +5 old whip, which will be uber powerful, especially when we get our decks up, is going to require 15 Twinkling Titanite. Now we want to go back to the bonfire. Now one thing about the bonfires in this game, unlike the first game, if you homeward bone back to a bonfire, don't expect your health or your weapon degradation to replenish, because it won't. You have to actually sit at the bonfire. So that it's kind of stupid in that regard. I don't really like that aspect of the game as well. Now, we're going to go ahead and put on some fire bombs, because we're going to open up a shortcut back to the bonfire after we get a few items here. Now don't let this guy fool you. He's just laying there. Again, another ambush possibility that you want to eliminate. Now once you go through this fog wall, nope, it's not a boss, but we're getting close. Now we want to go up to the top of this tree here, and we're going to roll off onto these houses. Now we want to go left initially and get into this cave over here to the right. We're going to talk to an NPC, exhaust this dialogue. Now watch out for this boulder here, a la Indiana Jones trap here. Ahead of us is another human effigy. We need to stock up on these. And the NPC is right in front of us. Now exhaust him. He's got a lot of dialogue, so just suffer through it, because trust me, it will be worth it. He's going to give us a key to the mansion in Majula. And in the mansion, we're going to get 2 items. Now one we may not need, one we're definitely going to need. So one of them is going to be an Estus Shard, and the other one is going to be the Soul Vessel. Now the Soul Vessel will allow you to respec your stats. I love this mechanic in games, and I think every game should have them, because you shouldn't be punished for making a mistake if you just want to try a different build. So if you have any doubts about your build, make sure you pick up the Soul Vessel. But we don't have any doubts, because our build is going to be extremely OP, but that makes the game more fun in my opinion. But it's not going to be without effort. We're going to have to work our butt off to get OP. But we're going to do it as quickly and as easy as we can. Now up here, we're going to take out this guy. Now we're still not done in this area. We're going to try to get a Titanite Shard that's at the bottom of the area. And after we get that, then we'll leave. But this guy here, these hollows will drop pieces of their armor set sometimes. And in this case, we got the hollow infantry armor. Now, this is my choice for Indiana Jones build, because it has the trademark, well, the closest we can find, to a satchel and a strap here on him. So this is what I've decided to go with. Now there are a couple of other choices that I think are pretty good that I've seen other YouTubers use. There have been some other Indiana Jones builds, cosplays, and I will be showing the other outfits as well. But this is the one I've chosen to go with. Now, once you have the Titanite Shard, we need to get out of here. And unfortunately, kind of got in a spot here. So the enemies are going to start coming to you if you ran past them or haven't killed them. And I've just decided we're just going to home bone out of here, because my Estus was empty. And yeah, I just don't feel like dying right now. So I'm just going to take out this guy, and then we're just going to get out of here. Yes, even more enemies, and the archer too, so let's just get out of here. Too late, buddy. Okay, so now we're going to go open up the shortcut to the bonfire proper, and along the way we're going to get the light crossbow, and we're going to talk to Pate, the NPC that will allow us access to the white soapstone, and he is going to be a summon for us for the last giant. He's also got a side quest where he has a quarrel with another NPC, but we're not going to really dabble into that right now. But we do want his summon sign for the last giant. Early on, we just don't have enough weapon. Our weapon's not going to last through a boss fight, and you'll see that in the last giant fight. Our whip is going to degrade so fast that we need more weapons, and we're going to have to get them quick. So right now, we're just going to use summons. Now right here, chunk your firebomb, and boom. Quick access to the bonfire. Now we're going to go down this ladder and go get our light crossbow. Now the light crossbow will be our main ranged weapon for now, but we're going to replace it later with the Avalon. But we're still going to be using it because we're going to infuse it with fire later, which will allow us to ignite barrels from a distance and shoot tar pits and light up monsters inside tar pits and stuff. It's a very good utility weapon, so we're going to keep it as part of our build. But it's not going to be the mainstay. Avalon is still king. And we're going to infuse Avalon later with Raw. Now, the reason we want to infuse Avalon with Raw is, Raw takes away certain stats to give you physical damage, but Avalon doesn't scale with anything. So all we're getting is extra physical damage, and we're not losing anything. So all the positives and no negatives. I like that. So Raw all the way with Avalon. Now we're going to fight our way to Pate. now that we have the light crossbow, we'll try to land on this thing right here. Fall damage in this game is pretty ridiculous. Unforgiving. Now, if you want to go to that basilisk area, you can. We're not doing it. And right here is Pate. Just exhaust his dialogue, and he will tell you that someone went into this gated area and never came back. And he said there's treasure in there, and he dares us to go in. He says he doesn't have the nerve. So we are going to go in because we're not afraid, because we have the whip. Now, there's a reason that you don't want to come in here, and that's because not one, so two, no, three, 4, 5 enemies will storm you through this door here. But they funnel you in a straight line, and with the whip, no problem. Now, when it comes to finding illusionary walls in Dark Souls 2, you can't hit them. You have to keep mashing the A button and hope for the best. And right here, by the right of the stairs, is a hidden area. Now, even though we're not doing a sorcery build of any kind, we are going to pick up items that are not part of our build. And the reason for that is, we're going to meet a merchant later that will allow us to sell our unwanted items. That's right, unlike Dark Souls 1, where we're just stuck with them unless we want to throw them to Frant for next to no souls, we can actually make some money off of them. Now, let's just drop down here and talk to Pate. Exhaust his dialogue. He will give you the white soapstone. But make sure all of his dialogue has been exhausted so that he will be a summon for the last giant. Now, once we're satisfied with that, we're going to go ahead and over here and pick up the green blossom. Stamina is going to be an issue for a while until we get the Chloranthy ring +2, which we are going to get later. It's actually a ring that you're not supposed to have till New Game Plus, but we're going to get it early. We're going to be doing a lot of that, actually. Now, we're going to go to the bonfire real quick, and then we're going to get a Estus shard, and then we're going to open up the area to the boss. Now, we are going to meet, well, we're not really going to meet him because we're going to run from him, but there's a boss encounter up here where this, I'm going to show you right here. There's a hollow up here where I got circled there. Now, up here is the Pursuer. Now, the Pursuer will be a common boss encounter throughout the game. He will have a dark version that will drop Twinkling Titanite, and he will chase you. There's like scripted events through the game that he will definitely spawn in. But here's your first encounter. Now, if he kills you in this encounter, he won't respawn in this area, but he will be a main boss fight later. So trust me when I say you have not seen the last of the Pursuer. It's only the beginning. Now, there is a way to insta-kill this guy if you just run up to the ladder and run back. If you're standing on that little ledge there and you run to the ladder and run back, but we're not going to do it. We're just going to get the human effigy, get the items, and get out of here. We're going to get another torch. So there's the Estus shard right there if you just want to get only that item. Now, he has a ranged attack, as you can see right there. He just hit me with it. We just want to get out of here. Well, I don't know how we didn't die there. But yeah, we're just going to get out of here. We will face him multiple times, so don't worry. You're gonna have your fill of the Pursuer. Now, we're going to go open up the area to the boss, and we're going to take on the last giant. Now, make sure you're human, because just like in Dark Souls 1, you have to be human for summon signs to appear. So, make sure you're human there. And we're not going to summon for most of the boss fights. We're just doing it early on because we don't have the weaponry or the stats that I feel comfortable just going through. It's more efficient to get some help early on. So we want to go back down the ladder. Now going into the area where we got the crossbow, except this time we're not going to take a right, we're just going to go straight. And we're going to try to roll past these guys. There's a bunch of enemies in this area. In the fog wall, they're just guarding it. So what you want to do is lure them away from the fog wall. Don't try to go through the fog wall. And also there's a turtle guy to the right there as well, so don't make him spawn, or not spawn, aggro. And another guy comes by. It's just so many damn enemies. So we're going to come up these stairs here, heal, and just run back to the fog wall. You have to lure him away from the fog wall and then run to the fog wall there. It takes so damn long to get through a fog wall in this game. It's so frustrating. So what we want to do is we want to open up the door that leads back to the area with the ladder that we climbed right here. So now we have quick access to the lift if we need to get back to the boss quickly. And unfortunately, I did die to this boss. It's quite embarrassing, actually. So you're going to see a quick edit here. But make sure you summon for both. There's 2 summon signs you can do here. And this guy literally parries me. I cannot parry in this game. This game's timing for parrying is, I don't even know. Like, it is just not easy. And I'm not going to be parrying much in this game. You can actually parry most of the bosses too. Well, some of them, not most. Now this one guy has nothing but 2 shields, so he's quite useless. But Pate is not going to do much damage either. These guys are just mainly going to be sponges. Damage sponges for us so we can kill the boss. Now there's our edit, and there's our souls. Now when you lock on to the last giant, unless you're locking onto his head, you're not going to be able to see his whole body. So it's kind of awkward, but you want to attack his legs anyway. And be very careful. He has hitboxes that linger forever. And just like in Dark Souls 1's boss, the Asylum Demon, where he had that lingering hitbox, yeah. The hitboxes in this game, they're not good. A lot of them are poor, and the last giant has some pretty bad ones too. I don't even know how I didn't get hit by that guy. That swing there. I got hit that time. But mainly, just let them do the work and stay back. Pop in your shots when you can. Because, like I said, they're not going to do much damage. Now, he has quite the range on his arm swipes. At 50% health, he will tear his arm off and start swinging with it. I'm trying to save my whip for the end, so I can do more damage near the end to finish him off. So I'm using my scimitar right here. And we are going to get rid of the scimitar pretty soon, because it's not part of our build. That's a good amount of damage there. Now we're going to switch to the whip, two-handed. Nice chunk there. But it's still, look at that, 3/4 of the way gone already after just a few swings. But the whip, if you're not hitting flesh with the whip, it's going to degrade very quickly. And we got him. And we're going to get about 10,000 souls, the soul of the lost giant, and the soldier key, which will open up the rest of the areas and that we need to get through. Now, before we continue, we want to make sure we get the rest of our stuff. We're going to get Andy's hat, which is in this area as well. And we're going to get another whip that we're going to use because we need a backup weapon, and the whip is going to be our backup weapon as well. It's not going to be powerful. It's going to be significantly weaker than the old whip, of course. And it's not going to be our main weapon, of course, but for now, we definitely need another weapon. And we're going to upgrade it as much as we can later. Now, before we do anything, let's not forget about this Titanite. Well, we got to west at the bonfire, so we'll get a whip back to full potential here. But we don't want to forget about this crystal lizard up here, because he drops some Titanite shards, which we want to get. Because early on, they're going to be quite hard for us to get, because they cost 800 souls. And we don't want to waste souls on Titanite shards right now. We need them for other things. So let's just go ahead and get this Titanite shards here. Should be 2 of them. It's a guaranteed drop. Now there's a door that's hidden around here in the dark, but it leads to an area we can drop off, but we didn't get it here. It's literally right in front of us, but we can't see it. I couldn't find the door. Plasma, I couldn't find it. Only Plasma's going to get that joke. Well, I think he's told other people. Now, let's go to Militia. After you've killed the last giant, make sure you talk to Militia and exhaust all of her dialogue, so she will relocate back to Majula. Now, if you buy enough stuff from her, she will give you and you talk to her, I forget how much money it is, but it's not that much. If you spend a good amount of souls at her shop, talk to her and she'll give you the covetous silver ring +1, which early on is a great thing to have. We are going to get +2 later, but that's not going to be for quite a while. Now, we want to come back to Majula and spend some souls because we don't want to lose them, and we're going to get invaded soon, and the likelihood of dying is high, so we're going to go ahead and buy the key. Now, she will sell you infinite life gems now, but we're not going to spend money on them right now because we have other things to buy. So let's go ahead and open up the shopkeep for the blacksmith. Now, there's a bow off to the left here. We're not going to use it, so we'll just sell it later. Now make sure he knows that his shop is open. And we're going to give the Emerald Herald our Estus shards that we acquired. And also, we have no need of boss souls, so we're going to use them. Now, we are going to have need of 1 boss soul that we're going to save for the Chaos Blade, but that's not for much later in the game. Well, not much later. We're going to get it relatively early. Now, let's go ahead and level up as well. First, we'll give her our Estus shards. This will put us at 3 Estus shards. Now, let's level up some more. We're going to get our strength to 13, and we're going to start working on adaptability later. Not yet, but that's our next stat that we are very much going to invest in. Now, let's go ahead and go to the mansion and open it up and get another Estus shard and the soul vessel that we talked about earlier. Plus, there's a Ferrous Lockstone in here. These are items that you will use throughout the game to unlock various secret areas. And they can actually be farmed by killing some rats in the Doors of Pharos. So they're not really that hard to acquire. I don't know why I came out here. I have to go back in. Now you want to come down here and go into the basement area. There will be a skeleton that's rather tough. He always drops a human effigy, so make sure you kill him. Well, the first time you kill him, he does anyway. And off to the right here is your Estus shard. And right across the way is a little area where there's a chest. And you will get the soul vessel. Again, for respecking if you are not happy with your character. Now, we won't be respecking with this build. We pretty much know what we want. We want to get our strength to 40, our dex to 40, adaptability to 38, and our health and our endurance up as much as we can. We're not going to invest in faith or magic or anything like that, so that's it. Speaking of adaptability, let's talk about it because adaptability is by far the most important statistic in Dark Souls 2, and it doesn't matter what build you go for. Now, the reason for this is because it's tied to your agility stat, and your agility will allow you to do a variety of things, like consume Estus faster and have better success dodge rolling because it's tied to your iframes. Your agility is tied to your iframes. The higher your iframes are, the more degree you'll have for making mistakes. It's more lenient. So we definitely want to get that up. So now we are going to kind of reboot the area by just reselecting the same area. And this will allow our blacksmith to go ahead and get to work. Now we want to go ahead and get our light crossbow to +3. And we're going to buy some bolts because we're going to need ammo for it. And I like to get about 200 for what we're going to be doing in the DLC and just before the DLC. Now, we're a little short on the Titanite shards, so we're just going to buy what we need to make sure we get the crossbow to +3. Now, you'll see that we can't get it any higher because we don't have a large Titanite shard. Now, we will be getting those eventually. I don't want to spend all my souls on 600 bolts, so we're going to go 200. 200 is a healthy amount for the tasks ahead, I think. I just like to not have to worry about running out. Now we're going for the cheapest variety here, the wood bolts, much like Dark Souls 1 where we just went the cheap route. Now we are going to get the big ones later, especially when we try to kill some of the bosses. like the bell gargoyles times 6. Yeah, there's 6 of them in this game that can attack you at the same exact time, which is really kind of ridiculous. But we'll get to that later, because we're going to have to kill that boss twice, because we want the ring it gives you. The gold covetous ring +2. But that's much further down the line. Now, we want to go back to the Cardinal bonfire here. We're going to open up a door that was previously locked, now that we have the soldier's key. And we're going to go ahead and get our hat, and we're going to get another whip. Now, this whip will not be our main whip, of course. The old whip is still king, but because the durability is so low on the old whip, unless you're attacking something that doesn't have armor, we need an alternative, so we have to go for another whip. And luckily it's here pretty close by. Now when you get into this dark area, if you don't have a torch, you don't have to worry. As long as you're human, there is a summon sign right here by the door, and it will summon this guy, and he will light up the area for you and help kill the skeletons, because there's a lot of skeletons in this area, and without a light source they can kind of just ambush you. But yeah, as you can see, he's got a nice little spell there. Make sure you get these homeward bone here and get ready for these skellies. He's just trying to blast them. Unlike Dark Souls 1, you can summon for something besides a boss fight, so this is definitely not a boss fight. However, there is an invasion coming up that you cannot avoid. So it doesn't matter if you're human or hollow or what, this game doesn't care. So you're going to get invaded by this NPC that is very difficult to kill. And he's got some overpowered spells, and sure, you can stun lock him, but for all intents and purposes, we're just going to get the whip and our hat and get the hell out of here. But unfortunately, we are going to die, but I'm going to do the edit and cut out a little bit because it's really unnecessary. We basically just want to go back to Majula after we get our stuff. So I'm going to do a quick edit as soon as we get all that. And that will end the episode. I know this has been a long episode, but the other ones won't be as long. This one's just the introduction and trying to get it geared up to get ready for all the stuff that we're going to be doing. Now when you come up here, there's some turtle guys, and there's a couple of them. There's a human effigy there. There's the whip. That's what you mainly want to get. I don't remember what's over here. Not really important to get that, but your buddy will help you out a little bit with the turtles. But we're not going to deal with them. We just want to get out of here. We got our items, and now we got to get our hat. And it also has a leather. It's basically the leather armor set from the first game. So it's identical, basically. So right here, as soon as you go to the right here, you're going to get invaded as soon as you go up these stairs. So just be ready for it, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. You can't rest at a bonfire, and you can't homeward bone out. So I'm just going to do a quick edit here because I die, and there's no sense in seeing it. So our last order of business before we end the episode is we need a ring. It's called the Silver Cat Ring, and we have to have it because there is no way we can go through the path that we are intending to go through unless we have this ring. It will reduce fall damage greatly. Not entirely, you will still die, but we will be able to do many things with this ring, and we'll do that in the next episode. But let's go ahead and spend all the souls we can spend. We need 13,400 souls to get this ring. We should have enough souls with everything we've done. And the kitty cat will sell us the Silver Cat Ring, ironically. Now this cat will also let you abandon covenants, which is very important because we're going to be doing a lot of that. But yeah, once we have that ring, we are good to go. And in the next episode, we will kill another boss, and we will begin our journey into the depths of the DLC. And we're going to get possibly one of the best rings in the entire game. That's going to really help us become overpowered, and that's going to be fun. This is a very fun build. I mean, it is very OP, and I can't see using any other build, to be honest. It might seem like a liability to play as an Indiana Jones character, but our weapons and our ability to kill things will be very, very good. You'll see. You won't be disappointed. I'll see you guys in the